2026 is shaping up to be the biggest year in commercial property. You're going to see once in a lifetime opportunity in 2026. This is because there's so much speculation about whether the interest rate's going to come down, it's going to stay still, whether it's going to go up, and that's holding the market from investing. But the smart investors invest in commercial property regardless of interest rate. You see, commercial property is about supply and demand and never about interest rates. However, there's some trends that's coming in that is going to formulate the biggest returns in commercial property to come, but not straight away, but in 3, 5, and 7 years. So you've got to look ahead, not just where commercial property will be today with the yields it's given you and the capital growth, but where it's going to be in 5 and 10 years. Because remember, commercial property is not a short game. You can short it by flipping, but it is not a short game when you're looking at long-term investing. It is a 5, 7, 10-year game, especially when you're building financial freedom. So I've got 3 big trends for you that is coming up in 2026. And also, if you want to stay to the end, I'm going to show you the 2 to avoid so you're not making the mistakes if you invested in the wrong property. So let's get started. So number 1 is the rise of retail. Now, a lot of people want to go into warehouses, into childcare, medical, but rise of retail is not to be missed because we've gone through the cycle of industrial. What we're going to see now is more and more people invested into retail purely because industrial now offers the lowest return out there for commercial property. However, it is also now starting that a lot of tenants are also starting to shrink because the previous logistics that was there brought in by COVID is no longer there. And of course, we're going back to more tenants that want land with a traditional warehouse. So the smaller warehouse are starting to see some vacancies. So this will become more evidence towards the end of 2026. So a lot of people are switching into the retail space because in retail right now, you can still get higher than industrial yields, and it also offers stability in terms of long-term leases. And as the market starts to pick up and the stability, you'll find more and more tenants willing to sign longer leases. So in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see retail become more stable and as the chosen investment for commercial property. So get ahead of the market, invest in retail in 2026. Number 2 is we have the comeback of office. A lot of people go, oh no, office dead and done. But look, I've been around the world and I've seen how the office has been repurposed, how office has been reused. And yes, there's going to be always flexible working environments. We're going to have partly working from home, partly working from office. But people are going to come back as a community. The need for the community, the need for education facilities, the need for, in terms of medical spaces and even your childcare spaces in that 2nd, 3rd floors in the cities, and also allied health and medical in those city areas will be what office will be repurposed to. Office will be repurposed to more service space. Office will be repurposed to more a destination, an experience. So the repurpose of office spaces will be the revolution that changes the value of office space. And again, that is not in 2026 all going to happen, but it is a trend that is picking up. It is a trend that will become effective in the next 5, 7, or 10 years. And when you have a long form view of investing and a long-term view of investing, then you're going to look at where this is going to bring value, and that value will shift because right now people are still shy about investing into office spaces, but in about 5 years time, 7 years time, people are going to start fighting to get into the office space market. It might be unthinkable now, but it does happen, of course. So now Number 3 is going to be the most interesting, and it depends on how deep your pockets are going to be because it is about the rise of specialty niches. So previously people were like, oh, you know what? I don't really want to invest in cold storage. I don't really want to invest in a data center. Now, data center is shaping out to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's going to go into Melbourne, Adelaide, Tasmania are going to be as one of the biggest areas where data centers are going into. But not only the conglomerates are coming in, but also the small data centers are going to appear as well. So all of that is going to be, again, a trend that becomes effective in 3, 5, and 7 years to come. But the land, the building that are being repurposed are going to be very specialized niches that will bear fruit, but not immediately in 3, 5, and 7 years. So the trend really is about having patience, but investing right for the future, but also looking at self-storage, caravan storage, boat storage. All of those storage places are still going to continue to rise and grow in popularity. We're going to have specialty niches in allied health hubs, in medical hubs, where it's going to be very specialized because they bring in destination tenants and also destination clients as well for those tenants. So those are going to be the rise of specialty niches. If you can develop specialty niches or repurpose a building or a property or a strip of shops into this, that's where the real gold is. So 2026 is going to bring those opportunities. So look out for those opportunities where you have a private hospital for sale, you have a storage center for sale. All of those are going to come in as very unique opportunity that will bear fruit. Now, thank you for being with us. My name is Helen Tarrant, and remember, I help everyday Australians become wealthy through investing in commercial property. You too can be the next person that we help in our journey and your journey to become wealthy. So if you want to find out more, click the link below, booking for that strategy session, and we can help you work out how commercial will help you go the next level. So the link is below in the bio, but thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and pass this video on whoever is interested in commercial property. So let's get into the 2 things to avoid if you're in the commercial property space or thinking of investing in 2026. If you are, make sure you do join us into our community and do tune in for our webinars and boot camps to help you in your investing journey. So let's look at it. 2 of the things to avoid. Number 1, greenfield sites that gets overdeveloped. Now, because of the rise of warehousing, specialty warehousing, smaller warehouse, 50, 150, 250 square meters, heaps and heaps of them are getting built everywhere around Queensland, everywhere around the fringe of all the cities. They're going to be facing, especially in 12 to 24 month oversupply, because businesses, as much as they like it, a lot of the logistics of working from home also affect those small business size, small, tiny, micro-sized warehouses. So make sure that if you are buying those and investing into them, that you have done your research, that there is demand, that you are going to be able to get a tenant, you are going to be able to get the rent you want at a rate per square meter, and then you're not having to discount because all of a sudden you're seeing 30, 40, 50 of the same type of property coming onto the market. So be aware of overdevelopment in greenfield sites. That is one of the key mistakes I've seen people are investing in. They see these new upcoming, whether there's a retail or warehouse coming up, they go, great, I get a developer's guarantee for 12 months or even 24 months and I invest in them. However, what ends up falling on the other side is they get a lower return. They end up, the value doesn't shift and there's oversupply. So do make sure you do watch out for that. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the stagnation of the property that is fixed to the kind of tenant. So you don't want to be investing in property that is too specialized. Yes, I talk about specialist niches, data centers, and we talk about cold storage. But remember, those things came from traditional commercial property that were repurposed. However, you don't want to be buying a property that is so fixed that it can only be that. If it can only be a cafe, it can only be a dentist, it can only be a medical center, then one day, what if the demand changes? What if the demographic changes? That is when you start to lose value of that property. If your property is too small, so then it might be 30 square meters or 15 square meters or 40 square meters, it's hard to be able to split up into 2, and you're in an area where low traffic, those are going to be issues in the future when you go to retenanting. So when you go and invest in commercial 2026, yes, if you're below that $1 or $1.5 million, it's of course easy to go, well, I just need to get in the market, I just need to buy anything. But got to think about the future. It's not about the now returns and the now cash flows and the now capital growth. It's about where it's going to be 3, 5, and 7 years from now, because ultimately that is going to determine your true wealth and your true cash flow position and whether you're growing or shrinking. So make sure you do become aware of those really specialized, really niche type of tenants, especially in areas where it's hard to have access. I have seen people invest in those. They have great tenants at the time, but later on in the future became an issue. And of course, when you're in a building, you need security in a building. So if you're in an office building, you need to have security, did have parking, all those things are things to consider. But what I'm talking about, sometimes you will see that in warehouse spaces, the access, the roundabouts, the way that you get the trucks in are an issue for future retenanting. You might have a medical center that is great and is repurposed from a residential property. However, in the future, it might be hard to retenant because it's just too small for the area and the growing demand. So therefore, the value drops. I find yourself in spaces where you look at industrial office spaces where it's really just too small to be cut into 2, and you're in a position where you can only accept a certain type of tenant. So those are the properties not to invest in because they don't have the future potential. So don't look at now. All of 2026 is about looking into the future, what you can get in the future, 3, 5, and 7 years, and how you can grow your portfolio. So if you ever want to level up to commercial property, find out more about our next upcoming webinar. Hopefully I can help you increase your wealth and your cash flow through investing in commercial property. My name is Helen Tarrant. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, pass this on, and I'll see you in 2026.